Welcome back to Couch to Coders. In this module, we're going to go over the basics of query formatting. We'll go over how to format, some typical guidelines. We'll also touch on how to write a note, and then we'll also get your Google BigQuery account started. So, high-level overview for this module. Our first video will be BigQuery formatting. Then we'll go into writing a note and wrap up this module by booting up BigQuery and getting your account set up. In terms of time budgeting, this first video should be about 11 minutes. Writing a note is quick 6 minutes, and then booting up BigQuery is another 11-minute video. So I would budget at least about 30 minutes, maybe a little more or less, depending if you have a Google account already. So with that, let's get started into BigQuery formatting. What are keywords? In any query-based language, the language uses special keywords that tell the program what you want to do with the data. So you can think of a keyword as something that has like a preset functionality or ability. If you've used Excel, you've probably used keywords before. You can imagine sum, average, count, any of those types of things. Those are keywords in Excel. BigQuery has the same type of thing. So when I think of keywords, I like to think of them as an incantation of sorts, and you have to be very specific about what you want. In BigQuery, not only do you have to be specific about the keywords themselves, but also the order that they come in. What do I mean? So your most fundamental spells in your toolbox contain select, from, join, where, having, order by, and limit. So each of these 7 keywords, they have to come in this order. It's very important. So whenever you use select, that's the first keyword that you'll use, then from, then join, then all the way down. You might be a little nervous seeing this and being like, oh, I need to write this down and I need to memorize it right away. Not really important. You are going to practice these keywords and their order many, many times in the course. Every single time you do a query, this is going to be the outline or the shell of your query. So every time we do one, you're going to get practice with it. It's always a good idea, maybe take a snip and save it on your computer as a reference, but don't feel pressured to learn it right now. So what do we mean when we say formatting in coding? BigQuery, like we said, is picky about what you type. It's picky about the keywords, how they're spelled, and the order that they're in, but it's not picky at all about how you type it. So for example, if I did column with just some of the letters capitalized, BigQuery reads that the same as all capitalized column or all lowercase column. What this means is that BigQuery is not case sensitive. When we say case in the terms of capital or lowercase, that's where it comes from, uppercase, lowercase. So when it's case sensitive, that means that all caps column is different from lowercase. For BigQuery, nope, that's not how it goes. Another thing that BigQuery is not picky about is how many lines you use to write your query. So you could write an entire very, very long query on one line and it just stretches super far to the right side of your screen. You can't even read it anymore, or you could write it on 50 lines. BigQuery doesn't really care. So what I like to think of when I think of formatting is, imagine if you were reading an entire novel and it was all on just one line of the page. So it didn't have any enters, it didn't have any paragraph breaks, it didn't have any chapters, none of that. It was just one long line and you just had to roll it up like a scroll. You probably wouldn't read it, and if you did start reading it, it would be very hard for you to retain any of the information. So in summary, formatting in BigQuery is for humans. It's for you and me. It's not for the computer. So we want to format so that we can make it easy for you and me and anyone else who reads our query and code in the future to be able to understand it quickly. So unedited code is like reading through a rough draft of a term paper. It gets the job done. It is a paper. It does have the content. It might have the correct content, but it makes it really hard for anyone to pick it up and read it and understand it quickly. They're probably going to have to go through it and think, okay, what did they mean by this? What did they mean by that? They might have to make some guesses, things like that. So just to really drill this point home, because in BigQuery or SQL-based code, I have seen some really horrific styles of coding that make it really hard for other people to read. And so it's really important to build your habits now. So humans do not like to read like this with a mix of the cases, upper and lower. And humans also do not like to read everything on one line when it should have been made into multiple. Let's go over some of the basics in BigQuery formatting. The most important is be consistent in whatever you do. You don't have to write your queries exactly like I do. You can kind of put in your own flavor as long as it's consistent and it makes sense and it's easy for other people to read. How I like to write my queries, and I would suggest, since you're learning and you probably don't have a style preference yet because everything is new, you should just copy exactly how I format my code, and then you'll have a style already baked in. And then as you become a little bit more experienced, maybe you want to change some things up. So how I like to format my queries is, first, my keywords are always capitalized. Dealer's choice on your non-keywords, I like to just do it all caps, so I just turn on my caps lock on my keyboard and then I just type away, and I don't have to worry about turning it on or off. Each keyword is on a new line. So if you remember in that other slide where we had select, from, and it was all in order and they were numbered, that's how I like to write my queries. Select is on one line, from is on a different, all the way down. And you'll notice that as we start going through the examples. And the biggest thing is, after you're done with your query, just take a bird's eye view at it and see, if I wasn't the person who wrote this query, would I think that this was formatted nicely? Does this feel consistent? Is it easy for my eyes to scan it from the top to the bottom and get a feel for what the code is doing? This is something that you won't be able to know right away because you're so new. But as you gain more experience, this is a little flair that you can put on that will really elevate your code from someone who is a beginner to someone who's a little bit more experienced. And my biggest point is that if it looks chaotic to you, if you're looking at it, you're like, ooh, this is kind of whoa. It's going to look like a dumpster fire to somebody else because they have no idea what you're talking about. And just to emphasize, just try to emulate our examples for formatting for now. And then as you get your experience, you can kind of change it up. Leave yourself notes. You can and you should leave lots of notes in your code. What is a note? A note in your code explains what you're doing. So how I like to write my notes is I like to be overkill on the notes. I explain everything that's happening. I'll usually have like a top part that explains overall what my code is doing, and then throughout I'll also annotate specific lines. Why do I do this? Well, because I will write code and I will be in a frame of mind of genius. I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up and I'm a dummy and I'm like, I don't even know what I was doing. So I like to think that your notes should be designed for Lucy from 50 First Dates. So just imagine every morning when you wake up, you have amnesia and you have no idea what you did the day before. It should be detailed enough for someone who knows nothing about your project to pick it up quickly. Notes don't cost anything. They're totally free, so don't be stingy. You're better off doing too many notes than not enough. Okay, you get it. I've been harping on this formatting and these notes, but I haven't even told you how to leave a note. Don't worry, that's going to come up in our next lesson. So let's go over a quick summary on everything that we've talked about in this video. First, we went over the primary BigQuery keywords. There's 7 of them. Select, from, join, where, group by, having, order by, limit. These keywords always go in this order. So order matters with BigQuery. Be consistent in however you decide to write your code. For now, I would recommend writing it like I do in my examples. The biggest thing with formatting your code is you want to make sure it's easy for someone else to read. And the last point that we made in this lesson is that it's better to leave more notes than less. So that wraps up this lesson in your Couch to Coders Kickstarted. I'll see you next time, and we'll get into more of the weeds on how to actually write a note in BigQuery. Bye. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I would be so appreciative if you could like the video and subscribe to help me create more content for you. Thank you.